Welcome to the show. This is Brother Rob Wilson. I'm going to be discussing today Candace Owens challenges Logan Paul to a debate on his white privilege and his racism, his racist rant. Okay. Some people may not know who Logan Paul is. He is a professional YouTuber, 27 years of age, I believe. He is most well known for taking on or challenging Floyd Mayweather, calling Floyd Mayweather out of retirement and going. They had a fight scheduled for February, and I think it was just held in June, in which sadly Logan Paul lost in an 8 round decision. After the fight, I'm told that he asked himself, did he let me survive, basically? And look. Let me bring this up. This is this is the brother right here in question that Candace Owens is challenging. This is Logan Paul as he takes a pose here with Floyd Mayweather before the fight that he challenged him to, as far as I know. He is 6'2" and 190 pounds in this fight, and Floyd Mayweather was 5'8" and 148 pounds. Ooh, so sounds like somebody thought they were going to be a big bully. At any rate, so I'm going to play a clip that from Candace Owens challenging some remarks of Logan Paul. I think this is going to be interesting in the future. Let me look at this. Let me look at it. Let's look at these fight stats. So, no. I was wrong. Let me be standing corrected. The fight stats for the fight that Logan Paul lost versus Floyd Mayweather. He was 25 years old. Floyd Mayweather was 43. Um, he had one fight, and Floyd Mayweather had 50. Floyd Mayweather had 50 wins, and Logan Paul had 0. Floyd Mayweather was undefeated. Logan Paul had lost one fight. 0 draws for either one of them. Wow. I had no clue. Floyd Mayweather says kids, 27 kids. I'm just going off what I found on the internet. And 0 for Logan Paul. A 5'8" height for Mayweather, and Logan Paul 6'2". 10 stones and 7 pounds. So 10 stones, I think, around 140 pounds, 147 pounds total. Logan Paul, 13 stones, 8 pounds. I think 13 stones is 182 pounds plus 8, 190 pounds to 147 pounds. So a 50-pound weight advantage. Their stances were both orthodox. Nicknames: Money Mayweather, Floyd Money Mayweather, and Logan the Maverick Paul. And this seems to be something to do. Instagram followers. I don't know why that's a pre-fight stat. 23.7 million for Floyd Mayweather, 18.2 million at the time. I think it's now 23 million for Logan Paul. So he picked up quite a few followers. So at any rate, he is a professional YouTuber and a professional, aka social influencer. And he had made some comments which Candace Owens took issue to. All I can say, all I can recommend to this brother, and Candace Owens has challenged him to a debate, and all I can say, don't do it, man. Don't do it. Because, you took on Floyd Mayweather, a retired professional boxer with a 50-foot or 50-pound reach advantage and a 6-inch height advantage, and he beat you in 8 rounds. Look, I don't know if Candace Owens weighs over 120 pounds. She's probably 5'2" or 3. I'm telling you, you had better odds with Floyd Mayweather. Let's check out what Candace had to say about Logan Paul's comments Logan Paul coming to the rescue and virtue signaling on the defense of herself and other African American people. Candace, what you got to say? Utmost creds, so intelligent, so articulate, so educated, and a conservative black female in opposition to Black Lives Matter and critical race theory. She had some choice words for Logan Paul.
We introduced a new segment called Counterpoint. I challenged Ibram X. Kendi to come on the show and discuss his philosophies on racism. This week, Logan Paul, who's a YouTuber, got some attention for his own recent anti-racism rant. I invited Logan on the show, and by the way, I want to be very clear that he may actually join me in the near future. I appreciate the fact that he was willing to have an open dialogue, and I may go on his show in the near future. But for right now, I want to make sure that we break down his comments because they did go viral, and it is very important that people know the other side of the argument. It's very important that we challenge this in today's Counterpoint. So we're going to break up this video. Let's start from the top.
It is not enough to be not racist. You have to be anti-racist.
Yes.
Condemn those who feign superiority because of the color of their skin. Friends, hold friends accountable. Hold your family accountable. Hold yourself accountable. And most importantly, we must hold our authorities accountable.
Okay, I think it's a good start. I mean, I agree with that, obviously. If there's somebody around you that is being racist, you should hold them accountable and say, hey, that's not really cool. So I thought he's off to a very strong start here. The problem is that he continues.
If you're white, if you look like me, use your privilege. And for those who do not think white privilege exists, you are blind. You are delusional, and you are part of the problem.
Okay, so in the first portion of this clip, he tells us that people shouldn't feign superiority because of the color of their skin. And then in the second part, he has just told me, a black person, that he is better than me. He is more privileged than me because of the color of his skin. And that if I don't buy into the idea of white privilege, meaning that white people are more privileged than me, then I'm an idiot. Does that make any sense? Think about what I'm actually saying here. There are a bunch of white people who are doing what he is doing right now. They're going around and saying, I am more privileged than you because of the color of my skin. Is that not the very definition of racism? To look at me and to say, you know what, you're black, and therefore you are underprivileged. And look at me, I am white. You're an idiot if you don't see that I am more privileged than you. How do people not understand that that is the very definition of racism? Logan Paul goes on. Let's watch the last clip.
I can count on zero hands the amount of times that I have feared for my life at a routine traffic stop. That has never happened. Half of the reason I'm able to get away with some of my hooligan shit I do in my vlogs is because I'm a white kid.
Okay, so this is probably really going to shock Logan, but I have never feared for my life.
Oh, she is so prepared. She is so prepared for every issue, for every comment, around every angle. You can't pull a move on this young lady that she doesn't have an answer to. Right here, when she puts her hands together and say, okay, rolls her eyes, it's scary. And it scares me for Mr. Logan Paul.
At a routine traffic stop. In fact, 2 months ago, I was speeding in Montauk and I got pulled over. And at no point did I fear for my life. I maybe feared for the fine of the ticket because I happened to be in New York, but I definitely did not think that I was going to be killed by a police officer. What Logan Paul is doing here is he is making an assumption, a very racist assumption, that all black people are having the same experience at all times. He is saying, you know what? One black person has a bad experience with a cop. Therefore, that means that all black people must have a bad experience with the cop. That's racist. We are all different individuals regardless of our skin color. There are going to be some white people who are terrified when they get pulled over, particularly white people that have records and have reasons to fear the police when they have to interact with them. There are going to be black people that have those exact same fears because of similar interactions. But trust me, Logan, there are plenty of us who do not fear when the police pulls them over because we have nothing to hide. I don't buy in. I am not a subscriber to the idea that when a police officer pulls over Candace Owens, it's because he wants to kill her because of the color of her skin. That seems ridiculous to me, which brings me to my last point. Logan, statistics. It turns out, Logan, that your emotions defy reality. The reality is that Black Americans are 13% of the population and yet commit near 50% of all the homicides in this country. The reality is that white men are actually gunned down, unarmed by police officers more often than Black men. By rate, look it up. The FBI statistics are available to you too. I suggest you look up those statistics so that when you and I actually have a sit down and have a productive conversation, which I'm very much looking forward to, that you are actually armed with truth and not emotion.
That's highly unlikely. Let me pull up my next screen, and I'm going to warn you, brothers, sisters, friends, that the next segment, the young people have a difficult time controlling their use of vocabulary and using grown people words. So, let me see if I will try to bleep it out, but there's so much, it's difficult. So there is explicit language in the next video I'm going to show you. And let me see, what would be a good, I don't think that'll bleep it out. That's too little. That's too much almost. Yeah, we'll try. But I'm going to warn you, the explicit language is coming up in Logan Paul's baffled response to Candace Owens. He doesn't get it. Oh, he's shocked. This is Logan Paul's response video to Candace Owens. It is laced with profanity, as him and one of his co-hosts have a difficult time using the English language without expletives. It's common with immaturity. Okay, so let's check out this, how baffled he is. Amazes me, and this just goes along with the realization that he believes, I call it classified, identified, and stigmatized. He has preconceived biases that all of those people are this, that, or the other, and all of those people have this, that, or the other experience. He sees in black and white. There's no variances. That's what the left does. The left's agenda, critical race theory agenda, neo-Marxism agenda, is to fit every single individual into a broad category identified by their definition of who they are, according to, and I call it classified, identified, and stigmatized. He's got Candace Owens, according to her, wrongly classified, identified, and stigmatized. And quite frankly, we're all individuals. We all have different experiences. Let's check out Logan Paul.
The time I'm the most like removed from social media, because I don't post really on stories. I don't really post on Instagram. I'm barely tweeting. Is when I'm randomly, I have these random spurts of trending for fucking I don't know what.
What did you trend for?
So the video of me
Anti-racist.
speaking up about racism during the BLM movements went like re-viral. It caught some traction, and I was getting canceled by white supremacists, I think, or people who like follow that agenda for not being racist.
I said there.
Okay, so his idea is, if you don't agree, and this is the leftist idea, 100% with my belief, therefore you are a white supremacist. The very idea of racism is that if you don't agree with me and if you don't fit into our preconceived belief of you, our biases of you, our prejudice of you, our classification, our identification, our stigmatization of you, then you are evil and we are good. So everyone who doesn't agree with him is a white supremacist. It's irregardless of character, it's irregardless of virtue, irregardless of nature. You don't agree with me, Therefore, I demonize you. I have no logical or rational basis for my argument. You don't agree with me, you're a white supremacist. It's fascinating. It's fascinating that you are literally speaking of others as the very thing that you represent.
Nothing more 2021 than a person of color, Candace Owens, calling out a white man for standing up for persons of color.
Oh, she's the one that
yes.
came after you?
Yes.
Wait,
I
is this the girl that did the Harry Styles dress thing?
Virtue signaling, you need me, you need us. You're oppressed, and like Candace had said, we're privileged and you're not. And everything she talked about is 100% accurate in this response.
It's the same girl?
I don't know, and I'll never
Yeah.
talk about the topic ever again. Maybe
Yes.
so. But I was
Yes.
blown away.
Oh, I get that.
Blown away by and honestly, like, regardless of her sentiment or thoughts on whether racism truly still exists or whether white people have it easier than people of color,
What did
I've
she
never
say?
cringed
What did she say?
before.
I'm trying to find the tweet.
So
right now.
he'll
She might
find
have-
the
she
tweet,
might
but
have
it just
deleted bro.
it made me feel so disgusting, dude. Like such a clear play for clout that involved a subject.
Candace Owens was doing a clear play for clout when, after the racist rant that she just showed on her show, was not a clear play for clout or a clear desire to virtue signal. Who is this guy anyway? He's not. This ain't Logan Paul. The other guy, the other white guy, is Logan Paul.
That should never be brought into clout plays. Like, it was just
It was here. She tweeted, "Logan loves to challenge people in the boxing ring. I like to publicly challenge him to go a few rounds with me in a political debate. At Logan Paul, how about you stop by my show and explain to me how your checks notes more privileged than me because you're white and I'm not." And mind you, bro, this video is from like a year ago, and I'm not sure how it just caught any sort of traction, right? But I'm perplexed, to say the least. And I started to entertain this.
A perplexed white man on white privilege, critical race theory, racism in America. You are about, if you take up this challenge, you're about to get educated by Candace Owens. You won't be perplexed anymore. Maybe you could get some facts, some statistics, and knowing some other people who are doing something other than singing the leftist agenda.
Actually, I ended up speaking with her, and
Praise
there
God.
may be a future where we sit down and have a civil discourse, because I think there's some meat on this bone. I really do. She's obviously a
Logan, you're the meat. There's no meat on the bone for you. You are the meat. She's going to chew you up and spit you out. She knows what she's talking about. She's got logic, rational reasoning behind her arguments. You have feelings, like she said.
expert when it comes to debate, and I'm obviously a, fucking idiot.
Well, your language would show your expertise in debate. You can't have a verbal dialogue without using profanity, neither you nor your co-host. That's a sign of immaturity. That's a sign of a low level of intelligence, not being able to articulate your ideas without vulgarity, okay? Nobody really, there are people who hold a lot of cred to this emotionalism and emotional thinking and whipping people up into a frenzy because people love drama. Logical people who can debate on real substance have the numbers, they have the reasoning, they've got the education. Okay, you can do this. I will find it entertaining and I'll do another response to it, but you're the meat on the bone,
The most part, but I think part of my shtick is I'm able to educate myself because as much as I joke about it, I do care about this, and I do have a semi-intelligent brain where I believe I'd be able to hold my own and what I
don't
just
get
want
what
to
she's
be
fighting
a,
for, I'm
a
sorry.
conversation.
It is of her belief that the these issues
Who
that
is this guy?
many white people or many people claim people of color are up against do not exist. It's of her belief that we are at a point where we are equal in stature.
Oh, she believes that.
Yeah.
Okay, so his view is, their confessed view is, they're superior. They're superior beings to Candace Owens. Okay. Wow. Confessions, just blatant and open confessions of racism and white supremacy.
And I'm
Which
sorry
is-
if that's not entirely correct, but that's the overall sentiment of her discussion, is that it is overstated that racism still exists in America and has such an adverse effect to people of color.
You know what's sad to me is how people stir up emotions like this. You get what I'm saying? Like, you were trying to do a good thing.
If you watched his emotional rhetoric rant that Candace put on her show, it was to stir up emotionalism, stir up to be inflammatory about something he obviously does not have the knowledge about.
And for somebody to sit in a Hawkeye's view and be like, all right, I'm going to spin some issues with this. To me, it's like, isn't she supposed to be waking up every single day and causing like the world to turn in a good way? But why do you pick up
For clout,
do-
for clout and views,
But
George.
that,
here's
I get
here's
that,
the
but that's
thing.
just like,
No,
how
but
could you
here's the
sleep
thing.
at night?
You fought and challenged Floyd Mayweather, and that wasn't for clout and views. These people are literally, this is what the leftists do. They accuse everyone else of the very sin they're guilty of and perpetuating against the people they're accusing. This is narcissism.
Doing stuff like that.
All of this just trends up and blends and creates conversation under it. Like when you go to the replies,
Yeah.
of just bullshit. That's all. And I've realized that this is representative of the majority of conversation that happens on the internet.
Yeah.
But like if you scroll down to the replies, they're all about how Logan didn't write it. He's reading off of Check's notes. You see the Check's notes thing?
I think that was her shtick, which
No,
which is annoying
I was
because
with
like,
him when he wrote it.
No, but like,
I
bro,
was with
bro,
you
but
when you
I
wrote it.
No, I already clarified this. It's my first response under the thing. Fuck, it's not. It's gone. No.
Did you respond?
I responded to my thing. I said, I wrote this on my laptop. I read it on my laptop. This is no different than your favorite news television show reading off a teleprompter.
So my question to you once again is, and it's the question that I found asking myself. Hold on a second. I just went into a hyper reality where I exist multiple times. I will be right back. The question I asked myself,
We'll be right back.
which is when do you ever respond?
We'll be right back, me and
When do you ever respond to this shit? These fucking people.
Because Candace Owens,
I'm gonna have to paddle you.
whether you can admit it or not, is a smart person.
Sure.
Whether you grudgingly, she's a very intelligent and articulate lady. Yes, I can admit it. You should not have a difficult time admitting it if intelligence and rationale and logic matters to you.
Sure. She definitely is a smart person.
And so I guess I'm just curious because like I just fucking fundamentally disagree with her, and I think there's a room for.
Okay, I'm gonna cut this guy off. I just effing fundamentally disagree with her. I'm quoting him. So you don't have the knowledge to disagree with her. Everything you're basing what you believe on, as passionate as you may be about it, as good as your intentions are junior high school type of reasoning and logic. You don't have possession of all the facts. How do you have enough knowledge to fundamentally disagree with her? you only hold your opinion based on your feelings, not based on any examination of the facts or listening to people who can teach you the facts. You grudgingly will admit that she's very intelligent because the MO of your lifestyle doesn't seem to be based on, I mean, it seems to be very effective in this generation, for garnering cred. What did he call it? You know, YouTubers, 23 million YouTube subscribers, 100% effective. Emotionalism and whipping people up into a frenzy and appealing to the basest desires of human nature. It's very popular. Okay. And I look forward to seeing Candace Owens, and you get together. There's a part of me that says that's not going to happen, and another part of me that says it'll be good for him to get the cred, get the virtue signal, probably garner him more subscribers to his channel than 23 million. I don't think there's a limit to how many people, anybody wants to subscribe to their channel. So literally everything they do and they've built their platform on, they accused Candace Owens of, who is she's got cred. She's given testimony at White House congressional hearings. She's on the news, on Fox News all the time. She's right there with conservative leaders, having intellectual dialogue with them. Something that doesn't ever happen when people take this non-fact-based, non-logic, non-rationale-based approach to solving real and legitimate issues. Real and legitimate issues of racism and discrimination do exist. Nobody's denying that. What the problem is when you have defined the solution for fixing those problems by creating things like whiteness, white privilege, that doesn't apply. In some category, in some sense, everybody has some kind of privilege that somebody else doesn't have. Okay? That's just life. I mean, Logan Paul, you have the privilege of having enough social clout and enough clout busting and enough influence that you could challenge Floyd Mayweather to a fight and pull it off. Okay? That's privilege that plenty of white folks don't have that privilege. Okay? And to some degree, give you credit, and it falls on the side of meritocracy that you know how to build a successful YouTube platform. Okay? Would you have somebody take that away from you who doesn't know how to do such things, who doesn't have the tech or the techno savvy to do that thing? No. That's your thing, man. That's what you can do. And somebody else with this leftist agenda wants equity, well, you should give 10 million of your followers to somebody who has as few followers as I do. Anyway, would you have somebody take from you what you have actually worked for? Do you have privilege over a small YouTuber? Yeah, bet you do. You work for it. So I'm not talking about white privilege or anything like that. Candace will educate you on the realities of life. And no, nobody's saying that issues of racism, issues of discrimination, issues of injustice don't exist, but we're not able to fix them by the definitions that critical race theory places on them, because we can't come from there. We got to start from a place of truth. Okay? Somebody is not white supremacist literally by the color of their skin, no more than you could say that someone who's black or African American is underprivileged just by virtue of the color of their skin. There's African American millionaires with master's degrees and PhDs living in areas in communities in which any one of the uneducated, poor, underprivileged white folks have no access to that lifestyle. There's so many things that make us come into intersections of common grounds of suffering, common grounds of injustice, or even if it's not injustice, of social status. You know, so many things that make us united as one. Okay. But yet, anytime something goes wrong, there is this spirit that wants to take the crimes of the few, or the one, or the few, or the few dozen, and lay that guilt on the collective as a whole. You know, this is the same type of racism that would classify, identify, and stigmatize black people not by the color, not by the content of their character, but they would pick out the worst examples of the African American culture or people, and then they attribute that to every one of them. That's classical racism and white supremacy, white privilege, all of that guilt assignment, that shame assignment, that fear assignment is the same thing. All right, this is Brother Rob Wilson, and I'm looking forward to this clash. Part of me says it's never going to happen. Another part of me just can't wait for it to happen. Leave a comment down below. Do you think, as I think, Logan Paul is out of his league just as much with Candace Owens, maybe even more so with Candace Owens than he was with Floyd Mayweather? Give us a like, give us a comment, give us a share if you care. Tell me your thoughts. Peace.